Islamic design and architecture is probably one of the most easily recognizable styles and has a widespread influence on many of the most sacred places on earth. The domes, arches, tilework, calligraphy, and layout all remain grounded in the religion of Islam. They have evolved and influenced architecture all over the world, from China to Russia, Africa, India, England, and most especially in the Middle East. The style of Islam has impacted civilizations for centuries. As we explore these works of art, take heed of the elements that remain consistent, but also notice the craftsmanship, symmetry, and nature-inspired designs so carefully fashioned into even the smallest details. As the artists attempt to glorify and worship God through beautiful shapes, colors, and textures, we can perhaps understand their point of view and how it influenced so many designs around the world. Islamic religious practices require the design and construction of a mosque to include several special elements. One important feature of a mosque is the Qibla wall, which is the wall closest to Mecca. Muslim worshippers should face Mecca when praying, and the Qibla wall is the cue for which direction to pray. Set into the Qibla wall is a feature called the mihrab, which is a niche that often has a dome over it. The mihrab indicates which wall is the Qibla wall and is therefore an important element of Islamic design. Another important feature of the mosque is the minaret, which is a tower used to call worshippers to prayer. Because Muslims must pray 5 times a day, it is very important that they are able to hear the call to prayer. Many mosques were designed after Muhammad's house in Medina, built in 622, and are meant to be community gathering places, as well as places of worship. At the center of it all, the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem is one of the most important buildings in Islamic culture. Constructed during the years 687 to 692, this building is located on a site that is sacred to Muslims, Christians, and Jews. Built as a shrine by Abd al-Malik, the Dome of the Rock is an octagonal-shaped building and includes many common features of Islamic architecture, such as its mosaic tiles, its highly ornate interior, which includes many more tiles, mostly which are still original, and the calligraphy quoting the Quran all around the building. Outside, the Golden Dome is the most prominent feature, which many say was inspired by the nearby Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The building also has arches and columns, which are more common in Islamic architecture. Another famous example is the Great Mosque at Damascus, Syria, also known as the Umayyad Mosque. This mosque was constructed shortly after the Dome of the Rock and, like the dome, was built on a site that is special to Christians as well as Muslims. Many Muslims consider this mosque to be the 4th holiest place in the religion of Islam. Highly ornamented, the Great Mosque at Damascus showcases the meticulously detailed mosaic work of Byzantine design. Located in Tunisia, the Great Mosque at Kairouan is sometimes called the Mosque of Aqba, after the Arab general who built it in the year 670 AD. Although it was destroyed around 690, the mosque was rebuilt and was famed as a place of learning and scholarship in the teachings of Islam, as well as non-religious subjects such as mathematics and other sciences. The mosque is huge at around 9,000 square meters and is one of the oldest examples of Islamic architecture in the world. What is unusual about the Malwiya minaret at the Great Mosque at Samarra in Iraq is the structure's design and size. Although the original mosque no longer remains, and the tower, or minaret, had sustained some damage in 2005 due to the war, the telltale arches at the top of the tower remain, indicating an obvious Islamic design. Built in 848 to 851, this structure is unique compared to others because of its shape, which is almost cone-like, rather than cylindrical. Evidence discovered during excavation of the mosque indicates the interior walls were once covered with dark blue glass mosaics, similar to other Islamic structures of that time period. Begun in 784, the Great Mosque at Cordoba, Spain, is quite ornate and beautiful. The hypostyle hall, which is a prayer hall filled with 514 columns, has a geometric layout reusing old Roman columns. One of the most beautiful features of this mosque is a horseshoe-shaped arches found throughout the building. These types of arches are an Islamic design feature found in many other Islamic buildings around the world, and are easily recognizable as Islamic in origin. The dome of the Great Mosque uses crisscrossing ribs to create a pointed arch and is extravagantly decorated with mosaic. The mosque had been through several architectural transitions over a period of about 200 years as it was expanded and decorated with increasingly intricate patterns and designs that were also influencing other great structures of that time. The Palatine Chapel in Palermo, Italy, is an example of a non-Islamic building that had many Islamic-influenced architectural features. Begun in 1132, the Palatine Chapel has the arches and geometric shapes that are unmistakably Islamic. While it may seem ironic that a place of Christian worship relied upon Islamic design features and craftsmen, it is hard to deny the beauty these features add to any building. Because the designs and ornamentation were not based on a particular tenet of Islamic religion, Christian worshippers probably appreciated the art itself and were not offended by the source. The Saracen techniques and styles made their way into many other buildings around the world as well. The Palatine Chapel is one of the grandest examples of how a seemingly opposing religion embraces the concepts and techniques of art to create beauty. The Middle East and Mediterranean contain many examples of Islamic influence in architecture and art, but these concepts were not exclusive to those regions, nor were they exclusive to structures of purely religious affiliation. For example, the Çinli Kiosk in Istanbul, Turkey, was part of a private palace built in 1473. It uses the easily recognizable pointed arches throughout the facade, and also boasts a domed court. The blue and white mosaic throughout the structure also indicates Islamic influence. What is interesting about this building is that it looks very much like the mosques in the use of arches and calligraphy, but was actually designed for private use. The Palace of the Lions in the Alhambra, Granada, Spain, was also built for private use, but demonstrates many features of Islamic architectural design blended with Christian designs. Commissioned by Sultan Muhammad V after he succeeded his father in 1377, this structure contains many of the beautiful features of Islamic architecture, such as the pointed arches and detailed ornamentation. But it also includes a courtyard meant to represent paradise. Interestingly, this palace is famed for its lion fountains, which have been said to represent the 12 tribes of Israel. Another example appears in Sultan Hassan's Madrasa Mosque Mausoleum in Cairo, Egypt. This large building was constructed with the intent of sharing the mosque, while each of the 4 Sunni Muslim sects had its own separate hall, called a Liwan. The structure contains many features of Islamic design, but was designed around the somewhat limited lot space. Completed in 1359, the structure is near the citadel. One of the most interesting features of this building is the egg-shaped dome, which was made of wood. Islamic influence in architecture covers so much more than just the Middle East, and its influence has been widespread and adopted into many different cultures from many continents and regions around the world. The iconic architecture in Russia is an example of how the Persian style of dome, also called an onion dome due to its shape, made its way very far to the north. St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow is the most recognizable due to its shape and grandiose decoration of the onion domes. One of the most interesting things about Russian architecture in general is the use of the onion domes in many, many different buildings, but most especially churches. This indication that architectural designs and influence of Islamic origin transcends not only regional and cultural boundaries, but religious ones as well, is a fascinating aspect to consider, especially when confronted with the knowledge that many features of Islamic architectural design are fundamentally derived from the Muslim religion. One of the best examples of Islamic design is the Taj Mahal in India. As a showcase of architectural excellence, the Taj Mahal is practically unparalleled. From the large white onion dome, to the pointed arches, ornate carvings and mosaics, To the impressive uniformity and symmetry, the Taj Mahal is the culmination of centuries of Islamic architectural design perfected. In my opinion, it is one of the most beautiful structures on the planet. Over the centuries, the precepts of Islamic design and architecture have remained the same, although the techniques themselves may have evolved over time. Those precepts, to honor nature, anticipate paradise, and to glorify the process of creating the art as much as the art itself, seem to be apparent in every aspect and element of design. The attention to detail, symmetry, use of beautiful and durable materials, and even the way the light influences a space, became a way for the artists of long ago to speak to us as clearly as if we were in the same room. When we look upon the thousands of hours of work, meticulous detail, and geometrically perfect creations of the artists long past, we can't help but wonder about the hands and minds that created such everlasting beauty.